If you're depressed and unmotivated, it might be because of your cell phone. Believe it or not, there are a lot of neurotransmitters that are involved when you're utilizing your cell phone, especially early in the morning and at night. We have an incredible neuroscientist on the show, Nicole Vignola, to talk about just what cell phones are doing to our mental health. And if you have children, should you be giving your kids a cell phone early on?
I always say no phones for the first half hour to an hour if you can. So when we're sort of coming out of waking, we go through, slower brain waves. We're in theta brain states, low alpha, maybe some beta, but when we grab our phone first thing, we're snapping ourselves out of it. And people say, yes, but I need the phone to wake up. You're probably not getting good quality sleep if that's the case.
Nicole Vignola is a neuroscientist, a corporate consultant, an author, and a speaker. And she's been committed to making neuroscience tangible for you. So if you have a cell phone, if you have children, if you're having trouble getting motivated, if you're having trouble breaking habits, get ready for this episode. All right, Nicole, welcome to the show. These are my favorite podcasts when I can talk about the nervous system and about the brain. Mm-hmm. From my emotional standpoint that I work with, this is pivotal. What I notice is the biggest thing is this. Everybody wants to do healthy interventions, healthy food, healthy exercise. I want to do all of these perfect habits, my rituals, my journaling, and they go for a week and they're going strong, maybe a week and a half. And the same story, there's always a fall off. What's the reason why there's such mountains between us and our goals for habits? Habits. Why can't we just keep our good habits?
Firstly, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so much I could say about this. So I'm just going to rein it back and start from the beginning. So your brain has been developed based on your experiences growing up as a child. And sometimes that development is great, but other times we learn rules about the world by observing our parents grow in it. So we maybe see our parents be highly critical of themselves, or they don't value exercise, or they don't value healthy eating. And we form these foundational rules about how the world works. We can actually change our brains into adulthood. We now know that. For a long time, we thought that the brain was fixed after the age of 25, but that's not true. But what that means is that these ingrained pathways, they're called heuristics, which is basically a shortcut as to what your brain does to arrive at a particular conclusion. So you don't think about how you walk in the door and put on the light or brush your teeth or make your coffee. You just do it because your brain wants to save energy for more cognitively demanding tasks. So to go and change a habit is going to require quite a lot of effort because your brain has got a path that's already laid out very well on something that you would normally do. And to divert does take cognitive energy. So there's so many ways that we can go about that, but generally speaking, people will rely on motivation, which can work, but then it dies off.
Yeah.
And in the book, I've got a chapter is actually at the end. So I've broken up the book in 3 phases. Phase 1, ditch the negative. So there we look at these kind of narratives, these habits that are holding you back. We try and identify what are some of the triggers that trigger you to want to perform bad habits, etc. Then phase 2, which we'll discuss in a lot of detail, I'm sure, in this podcast, because things like visualization, preparing for setbacks. There's so much in there, like phone use as well. And then phase 3, which we're jumping the gun, but that's where I've got this chapter that's called self-trust. And when you give yourself non-negotiables, then you divert that motivation into discipline. And you're saying, okay, well, I have to do it regardless. I knew that the motivation would wear off. So now it's just like clockwork. Now, the research pool on habits is mixed. Some people will say adopt 6 habits. Some people will say adopt 1. I always say it depends on the habits. If you are trying to go to the gym 5 days a week, change your diet completely, stop phone use, let's say you've added 5 of these really difficult ones, it's going to be quite hard to do that. So I am a big sort of believer in choosing one, doing it well, ingrain it, and then move on to the next one. But if it's small ones like, I don't know, take your supplements and brush your teeth with your left hand, I don't know, then those you can kind of mix in together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the 1 because it simplifies a lot. Because what happens is people go, I want a healthier lifestyle. And there's a whole slew of things that we want to do now. Yeah. From the food to the mental to the rituals, as I was saying in the beginning. And we get overwhelmed. Even the motivation, once it wears off, like you said, is going to wear off. Then how can we be disciplined to do all of them? I know for me, if I do one thing and I'm used to it and now my body's getting used to it, now I can move to the other thing, but it's stable and it stays.
Yeah.
And maybe that goes better for a lot of people, is that we kind of overwhelm ourselves too much with things we have to do in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Except giving ourselves grace and utilizing that discipline each time and not being overwhelmed. So you say that it makes sense. The brain wants to be efficient. It doesn't want to use extra energy for doing all these new things. We want to be going down the slope that we've been going down for years.
Yeah.
So one thing that stuck out off air that you had mentioned is that we have a certain amount of resources in a day. Mm-hmm. Is that a certain amount of mental energy, or are our neurons just equipped to just fire off really strong for X amount of days time, and then once it hits that reserve, it goes, now we're good, we're done?
Yeah, it's basically got to do with glutamate binding. So glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter, and there's only so much of it on a daily basis before you need to sleep and replenish. Mm-hmm. And so this glutamate activity kind of diminishes over time, and we get something called vigilance decrement. So over time, your ability to hold focus information starts to decrement, and decision making is generally impacted by the end of the day. So you'll come home and you'll go, okay, I know that I should go to the gym, but it's just so much easier to lay on the sofa and not do it. And that decision making is probably the most important part. But I love what you said about grace. So what's really interesting is when we're trying to make behavioral changes, we tend to berate ourselves and focus on the negative. Oh, well, I'm still not there. I'm still not good. I'm still, etc. Or you eat the cookie. I'm using cookies as an example. I know that there's nothing wrong with cookies. So people are like, what cookies ever do to you? But it's a really good example. You eat the cookie and then you beat yourself up about it. But that doesn't change anything, because if it did, we wouldn't have any bad habits, right? The first time you beat yourself up, you would break that habit. And so that behavior keeps you stuck, because it keeps you in a place of shame. And then you eat the cookie because you're like, well, it doesn't matter, I'm just gonna eat it anyway. We operate better on positive reinforcement. So let's say you're somebody that smokes and you smoke a pack a day, that's 20 cigarettes. Now you cut down to 1 cigarette a day. What your bias will probably try and tell you is that you're still smoking, and you'll want to then beat yourself up for that. Right. But you're smoking 19 less. Times 30, that's 530 cigarettes less per month. But you're still going to focus on the fact that you're smoking 30.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So if we can shift that paradigm and say, okay, well, actually, I'm really proud of myself. I went to the gym today, and really kind of snowball onto this gratitude and giving ourselves grace and being compassionate with ourselves, we actually release dopamine when we feel good about ourselves. Dopamine is a reward-based learning mechanism that tells us what made us feel good, because we want to do that again. We don't release dopamine when we berate ourselves. So dopamine isn't the neurotransmitter of pleasure. It's the one that puts you in pursuit of pleasure. So if you've felt good, it's going to want to do that again.
So we can re-ingrain or newly ingrain these new signals to our body that, yes, if we actually bring more awareness and grace and celebration of where we are, we're putting ourselves in a better place for a habit anyway, a better healthy habit. But then, are we predisposed to look at negative? Is our brain wired to look at the negative as a survival mechanism?
Yes, exactly. So we have a negativity bias. You'll know, you talk about emotions a lot. We've got 8 basic emotions. Of course, they're more nuanced than that, but those are the models that were proposed in the 80s, and I think that they work. We can build onto them. But out of the 8 basic emotions, only 2 are positive. So joy and trust. And then there's 4 negative: fear, anger,
guilt,
disgust,
shame, disgust.
And then there's only 2 there's another 2 that are either negative or positive: surprise and anticipation. Generally speaking, people are anticipating in the sense that they are anxious or worried about a particular outcome. So it's not positive, it's negative. Now, so not only do we have more negative emotions, the brain registers negative emotions more greatly than positive ones. And that's really interesting, because we give the information more weight, I guess that's the right word. And so we do have this tendency to want to look more towards the negative. So if I say to you right now, like, how many orange things on your environment, you'll start counting. And I'll go, how many blue things? And you're going to go, well, I was looking for the orange. And that's how negativity bias works.
Oh, interesting.
You go through your day and all you see is, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing this. I'm still smoking 1 cigarette. I ate the cookie. Oh, you're rubbish. You didn't go to the gym as you said you would. And then it's like the snowball effect of bad.
Whoa. And the physiology is wired for us, and that's for us to survive. So again, more grace. We go, okay, wait a minute. I'm actually, built in that way to survive, and that's
Yes.
okay. But we also have the power to change it, like you
We
said.
do, exactly.
Only it's a little bit uphill for a little bit. We're doing with that. That's some work, right?
Yes, exactly.
So these receptors, glutamate receptors, they get bound throughout the day, and then they're exhausted or they're done.
Yeah.
We got to get to sleep. Is there any ways that we can enhance our receptivity of our glutamate receptors, or is it just standard for all people that we have just this amount of mental energy throughout the day, pretty much, and we're going to be good, the average human?
Yeah, so we can replenish these energy resources. So this is what my research was looking at, is how people at work go on their phones in a lunch break thinking, or even when they may be, feeling a bit burnt out or they're not productive anymore, they'll switch to phone use, social media, as a perceived break. So they think they're taking a mental break, but actually that's still taking up cognitive resources. And so then they come back to their desk, they sit down, still not motivated to work, still depleted, come home, okay, I've got no resources left. Now I've got to make these good decisions for myself. That's difficult. We're putting ourselves in a very, difficult spot.
You see, that's surprising when you tell me that, because like for me, when I'm running around doing all these things and then I finally get some quiet time, I go, let me just watch some goofy cat and turtle videos because I love animals. So I'll just scroll, and then 15 minutes later I was like, oh, I turned my brain off.
Yeah.
But you're saying the more I do that, the more I'm not realizing that it's causing fatigue in my brain for the day.
Exactly.
And that fatigue, how does it manifest? Is it just like physical fatigue, mental fatigue? Does it change my mood? Like what are some side effects of being on the phone too much?
Probably all of the above. So inability to make decisions. So my research was looking at decision making and executive control. So how we maintain focus on particular activities. So your focus is depleted. Your ability to make decisions is depleted. I would imagine that would manifest in, feeling irritable, feeling moody. Probably if you have any underlying conditions, maybe they become exacerbated when you're, more depleted. So in the first 8 hours of the day, we have high levels of dopamine and norepinephrine. Second 8 hours of the day, we actually have high levels of serotonin. And that can mean that we are a little bit more emotional. It's not a bad thing. But if you couple that with this kind of decrement in your activity or brain activity, you've spent your mental currency. That's what I called it. You're now sort of setting yourself up for failure. And then you get, I don't know, you got to make decisions at night and you don't make the right ones. And then you berate yourself. So it's like more energy.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's funny. Yesterday, I had a busy day and I usually go to the gym in the morning. I was like, oh, I'll just go at like 5, 6.
Yeah.
So then 5 came, but I was hungry. So I ate something. And then like 6:37 came and I was like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Classic.
It's classic.
Yeah.
It has to be in the morning, early afternoon.
Yeah.
If not, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's because a lot of that decision-making fatigue, energetic currency that's been used up.
Yeah.
I can't even I don't have the energy, the mental energy, or even the physical to go at the end of the day.
And the thing is, when we decide to go anyway, we're actually training our brain, called the anterior cingulate cortex, which is responsible for willpower. It's responsible for basically doing the hard things that you don't want to do. And the more we go, I'm going to do it anyway, we actually strengthen that part. Now, that part of the brain is actually tightly regulated with the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, which is responsible for growth mindset. So seeing things with an open mind, embracing failure. Because when we've seen sort of studies where we've trained children to have a more growth mindset approach towards their grades, towards their school, etc., that part of the brain is more active. And over time, it stays active.
Oh, amazing.
So you can push through. Willpower can be trained. But if you haven't got it trained, then you're setting yourself up for failure by sort of, depleting your decision making and then adding social media into the mix. And
so what I'm hearing is that if you're addicted to your phone, that can actually downstream affect your willpower and growth mindset.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, and impacts your dopamine as well, because our brain will want to naturally prioritize short-term sort of dopamine spikes, immediate gratification, immediate rewards versus long-term. So the gym is long-term. You have to drive, you have to get there, you have to move your body. You'll feel amazing afterwards. No one ever regrets a workout unless you got injured. But the phone is easier. It's like, but it's right here and I can feel good without going to the gym.
Yes, for sure. And the body will sort of prioritize that.
And the more you prioritize immediate rewards, the more your brain's like, well, why would we do the hard thing? We can just do the easy thing and feel good anyway.
It's incredible how the body just looks for the lowest expenditure to utilize its own energy and do its own sustaining life thing.
Yeah.
You know, but like, oh God, it can be really hard that's why it's hard for people to get going.
Yeah.
So you put that with the phone, and now it's problematic. So when we're on our phones, we're depleting that dopamine, you're saying? Is it because we're getting quick hits. Serotonin or dopamine hits? Yeah. What neurotransmitter is really involved in like just scrolling mindlessly? A Nuzest Good Green Vitality is one of my favorite green powders in the game. This is an all-in-one nutritional powerhouse, right? This is something that you're going to get 75 essential vitamins and minerals in one scoop, some probiotics in there. You got an impressive array of superfoods. But the good thing about this green powder, what really starts setting it apart, is its ability to fill in nutritional gaps in our modern day diets. A lot of you are just eating sort of sparingly, healthy, not healthy. It's okay. You're eating how you're eating, but you want to help support your diet. And in today's fast-paced world, a lot of us are on the go. We need something convenient. So for me, I use this green powder every morning. I put it in water, mix it up, I drink it, and I go out for my walk. I get my day started immediately. But this is not compromising any quality or effectiveness. I put this in my everyday routine. My energy's better, my digestion's better, I've not gotten sick once this past winter. I feel good. Now for all of us, it's about providing comprehensive support to thrive. I love the versatility of it. When you mix it with water, or you can even put it in a smoothie, it tastes good. A lot of these green powders taste like earth. They taste like dirt. You know what I'm talking about. It's a natural, pleasant taste. It's easy to consume. Good Green Vitality. It's vegan. It's gluten-free. It has no artificial additives. It's a clean, conscious choice when you want to prioritize your health. And who doesn't want to prioritize it right now? And it's sustainable. So you get 20% off of all Nuzest products by using the code DRG at checkout. I want you to go to nuzest-usa.com/DRG to learn more and start your journey towards whole body wellness with Good Green Vitality. That is nuzest-usa.com/DRG. Use the code DRG for 20% off and check the show notes. You know something, as we age, maintaining muscle health becomes incredibly important for our overall well-being and longevity. That is where Timeline Nutrition, MitoPure comes in. I've been using these guys for a while. If you've been listening to my show for a while, you know I've been talking about them for a while. It's a source of urolithin A, and this is a postbiotic. And basically, it's the active nutrient that your body makes during digestion. And what is fascinating about urolithin A is it's one of the first postbiotics that is shown to have major health benefits. This is an evidence-based, high-quality product. Urolithin A upgrades your body's cellular power grid. It gives energy to your cells for you functioning optimally. If you're working out, it's giving energy to your muscle cells. It's increasing strength. It's increasing endurance. They've seen this in studies. It actually really works. It's fantastic. And the studies have shown that just 500 milligrams of urolithin A can significantly increase that muscle strength and endurance without any other lifestyle changes. That is huge. So I'm taking MitoPure. It's one of my favorite things. I've noticed improvements in my energy levels, definitely in my workouts. You know, my endurance, I've been working out a lot lately. Definitely in my workouts. It's subtle, but it makes a difference how I feel day to day. It's helping support my mitochondria, and I know that it's supporting my long-term muscle health. And what I really appreciate about Timeline Nutrition is their commitment to science. They are a Swiss-based life science company and a global leader in urolithin A products. Plus, their products are NSF certified for sport, which speaks to their quality and purity. If you're interested in getting your cellular health a boost, I can't recommend taking Timeline's MitoPure enough. They're offering special deals for our listeners. That is 10% off of your first order. Just go to Timeline Nutrition, TimeLineNutrition.com/DRG and use the code DRG at checkout. That is TimelineNutrition.com/DRG. Use the code DRG for 10% off.
I mean, there's no singular sort of neurotransmitter. We've moved away from speaking about transmitters in isolation, but mostly dopamine.
Mostly dopamine.
Cocktail of emotions.
And that's my seeking reward.
Yes.
So someone who's addicted to their phone, they know that represents reward on the other side, whether it's like validation or whatever the phone offers them.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a dopamine headquarters.
Yes.
Dopamine depletion headquarters.
Yes.
This is where you go to deplete your dopamine.
Yes.
So is there any research showing us that this is a way to use your phone where, okay, you'll salvage your dopamine, it's okay, but once over this amount or this sort of content, is there even a content correlation? How can we use our phone responsibly now?
I always say, be conscious. Like, I was in a hole yesterday and I was loving it. I was like, I'm having so much fun watching these videos, but I don't do that very often. And so when I do, it's a choice that I'm making. And I do think that we can use our phones for that reason. But I guess the question is, are you using it to make yourself feel better at work? I don't scroll on my phone at least half hour before I work out. I mean, I try and do an hour. I'm not the best. If you spike dopamine by being on your phone, it spikes up pretty quickly. It then drops down and it goes below baseline because it needs a sort of refractory period where it replenishes. So that means that if you go on it again, you need more to feel just as good. And then you kind of go on this like volatile reward seeking type behavior. When it's below baseline, that's when you're like, I should probably go to the gym, but I don't want to. Well, of course not, because it's below baseline. So now if you needed this much to get to the gym and now it's there, it's like you need that much more.
I see.
To get yourself in that place where you want to work out, especially if you're not trained to do that.
So then is it a matter of I'm on my phone, whoa, I totally depleted my dopamine. I don't feel like going to the gym. If we don't use the phone, can we come up past that refractory period?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So in my research, we looked at 15-minute mindfulness meditation breaks. Not everyone's into meditation. I appreciate that. So what I will do is I'll break it down into something really simple. You have an interoception, so how you feel inside, and then you've got exteroception, which is influenced by stimuli. And your phone is something that is influencing your stimuli. So if you can shift away from anything that's influencing your system, so you can go in, feel how you're feeling inside. Okay, I can feel my heart beating. I can feel my lungs expanding. That will help replenish energy resources because you're basically shutting your brain off from any external influence and just allowing everything to replenish. Now, the thing with dopamine is we have this kind of pain-pleasure scale. Dr. Anna Lemke talks about this in her book. And what that means is that when you feel, when you get a dopamine spike in whatever form, there's normally a feeling that follows it, that's pain. Like, I want more. I want to go on holiday again. I want another cookie. I want another cigarette. I want another drink. And if we give into that pain-pleasure scale too much, we tilt towards the addiction. The way that we reset that balance is by sitting through that discomfort. I want to go on my phone. I want to keep scrolling. And I think we can all agree that we know what that feeling feels like, right? When I'm like, I don't want to get off my phone. I'm just going to look one more notification, right? Yeah. But if you can sit with the discomfort, when you get onto the other side, it's way more blissful. And then you've got, okay, I can go to the gym now. I can make the right decisions for myself. So unfortunately, we do have to put ourselves through that uncomfortable period of not wanting to do, and our brain's not shutting down. Maybe you close your eyes and like I said, and you're like, but it's all going crazy in here. And I get it all the time. I'm like, I've got that email to send. Yeah. But the more I sit there, the more I anchor myself, the better it all becomes. Only ways through.
Only ways through. And it feels so uncomfortable to so many people because, including me, like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's such an easy out or like an easy getaway. But you're starting to paint this really big picture.
Yeah.
For us to understand. So you mentioned addiction.
Yeah.
What I'm understanding is this: the picture you're painting, we are overutilizing these, whether it's the phone or whatever is giving us these dopamine hits. And you mentioned the pain and the pleasure scale. The pleasure is the dopamine scale. Is all that dopamine, and the pain is sort of moving through it and letting our body just move through that impulse.
Feeling of I want more.
A little bit more, and then not honoring that and actually being with. At what point does it start becoming the addiction, when we just continuously deplete our dopamine over and over and then have to keep seeking more and more high hits for dopamine?
Yeah.
Then we're moving into the addiction phase.
Exactly.
And what does the brain look like when it's in addiction?
Yeah, big question. I just want to clarify that I'm talking about phone addictions, because I'm not an addiction specialist. So anyone that's dealing with substance abuse probably seek someone like you.
Right.
Yeah. But your brain will be sort of wired towards overriding that frontal cortex activity that says, you don't need to be doing this right now. Because someone who is addicted to their phones, it's like, what the decision is. but your emotional brain takes over and says, I don't really care, I want this anyway. And that's a classic, situation for example, alcoholism. I don't know if you saw the the interview with the guy from Friends. What's his name?
Oh, not Ross from Friends,
Yeah.
but Chandler.
Yeah.
Matthew Perry.
Yeah, in Matthew Perry, yes. They had an interview with him where the sort of interviewer was almost like saying that it was his fault, like, he should be able to make decisions. But there's an override where the limbic system, the emotional part of the brain, overrides that decision making that resides in that frontal cortex. All logic goes out the window. We want the drink, we want the phone, we want to do this regardless of the outcome. Now, with phone addictions, there are individuals that are more wired towards addiction, but there's so much help for people out there now. But what I would say is, take these breaks, sit through that discomfort, because most people can break through that discomfort feeling of wanting to go on the phone. And the more you do that, as I said, you're strengthening parts of the brain that then have the willpower to change that in the long run.
So when someone is looking for or really addicted, the sense of what's happening in the frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex, is not working in a sense that the emotional connection is stronger.
Exactly.
I see. So it's overriding everything. So that's why it's so difficult when you're in that phase.
Yeah.
It's interesting because emotions are in the limbic amygdala.
Yeah.
And then the feelings are in like the prefrontal.
Yeah.
And this is what I always tell people. There's a difference between feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, the feelings are that story that we put to the emotions as it's processed downstream. So really, a lot of the healing has to come from that emotional center, what we're holding in our subconscious that drives so much of this. Even the cell phone addiction, it's like, until people are like, are you on your phone the way that it doesn't serve you because you're sad and you don't want to cry?
Yes.
Or if you're really angry and that's how you shut down and you compensate.
Yeah.
It's humans are interesting in that sense that we'll quickly look for a way to soothe, palliate that.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say is like, are you on your phone because there's something else what do you need? Do you need a hug? Do you need a glass of water? Even 2% dehydration can impact our psychomotor activity and our decision-making skills and how we are cognitively sort of able in that moment in time. So it's not a long-term effect. I'm sure if you went dehydrated for a long period of time, there would be cognitive effects in the long run. But so sometimes you just need a glass of water. Sometimes you actually need to eat something, but our brain will divert to what is the quickest and easiest way to attain this.
It's so funny. We just like, hold on, let me just check it. What I'm hearing is check it with my body first and be like, what do I need? Oh my God, I'm thirsty and I'm sad.
Yeah.
Like, let me drink some water and then let me cry out some water. It's like, maybe we need both.
Yeah.
And notice, like, is that impulse to be on your phone as strong?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, we sort of just unconsciously go to it.
Yeah.
It's the thing that we do. Is there any research out there for people who wake up in the morning and just reach for their phone immediately? Does that change the way we approach our full day? And is there a healthier way to have a relationship in the mornings?
I always say no phones for the first half hour to an hour if you can. So when we're sort of coming out of waking, we go through, slower brain waves. We're in theta brain states, low alpha, maybe some beta. But when we grab our phone first thing, we're snapping ourselves out of it. And people say, yes, but I need the phone to wake up. You're probably not getting good quality sleep if that's the case. I had that this morning, so I just grabbed my book and I started reading, not my book, but a book that I'm reading.
That'd be really cool. I'm like, oh yeah, she loves her work.
I mean, I've read it so many times and I would have 100% read it, but I love novels. So, but when you grab your phone first thing, you're just that heightened state of suggestibility that you're in the early mornings where you're slow and calm. Like, it's such a wonderful space to be in. Like, why snap yourself out of it so early on? Then you check emails, then you check notifications, then you've got a nasty comment from someone. You're spiking up your cortisol so early in the morning, setting off a trajectory for the rest of the day where you kind of like put the sat nav on, but it's like not working properly.
Yeah. If I reach for my phone, I wake up, I notice I get my body's in a more contracted state.
Yeah.
My palms get sweaty in the morning. I'm like, wait, I was just fine. I woke up all like nice and calm.
Yeah.
So you're saying when we grab our phone, it changes our brain waves.
Yes.
Into what?
into more active. So beta, maybe gamma. I mean, we don't have singular brainwaves in one area.
They all work just like neurotransmitters.
There's an amalgamation of them, but generally speaking, you're kind of raising the frequency of the brain and
quicker, too fast.
Yeah, and spiking dopamine too early on. When you jack up that dopamine first thing in the morning, you're in this sort of trajectory. The problem with social media and any quick fix is that it spikes it up quickly, but then it drops very quickly as well because there was no effort involved in the reward. So engaging in something like exercise, meditation, which ironically all actually strengthen the prefrontal cortex to help you make better decisions so that you can override that feeling of wanting to grab your phone, or raise dopamine, but in a much slower curvature. So it stays elevated for a longer period of time.
I see. So when we go and reach for our phone immediately and we're getting the dopamine hits and we just had our eyes open for 10, 15 seconds, we're spiking it up so high, so too early on.
Yeah.
And it's sort of setting the dopamine precedent at the very least for the day.
Yes.
Okay. So if someone is opening their phone, getting the dopamine hits too fast, is that affecting, it's giving them brain fatigue throughout the day?
Yeah.
You're predisposing yourself to not having enough of the reservoir?
Yeah, you're sort of engaged in that reward-seeking behavior. You know that feeling when it's like 4 o'clock and you're kind of like just checking your phone, you grab for it for no reason. You don't even realize you've done it. Have you ever changed your Instagram app to somewhere else and realize how many times you click on it? It's actually quite funny how many times I've done that. And when you do that, when you spike that, or when you reach for your phone first thing, you're kind of like inviting that behavior early on in the day.
I see. Okay. So you're setting yourself up already early on the day when you can actually shift the whole thing more into night.
Yes.
Okay. So take some time in the morning.
Yes. It's your time.
It's your time. Slowly start waking up the body and the brain. We're not meant to immediately see all of that blue light, all of that, the world's ending, or I hate your comments and your pictures, just take a break.
It's like waking up with a lion outside your door. You don't really want to do that.
So many people are guilty of reaching for their phone though.
Yes.
Is there a set amount of time in neuroscience that we kind of need to ourselves before our phone? All right, everyone, I want to talk about something we often overlook when we're trying to live healthier, and that's our laundry. Why are you guys overlooking it? I'm telling you, we got to have clean laundry and clean products. Now, it's not just about what we put into our bodies. It's also what we put into the environment. And recently, I learned about Molly Suds. I've been using just a detergent from Whole Foods, and I moved to a better one. And this one's incredible. I'm going to say it's a game changer. I've been using this detergent for about 2 months now. It works well. It smells good. It's gentle on my skin. It's gentle on the clothes. It's powerful stuff, and it has none of the harsh chemicals. And that's what drew me to Molly Suds, is their commitment to safety and transparency. The company was founded by a pediatric nurse and a mother, so they really get the importance of knowing what's in every product we use every single day. They are super strict about their standards and their ingredients. Here's something I learned that blew my mind. A lot of the laundry detergents use things like optical brighteners. They make your clothes look brighter, yes, but those optical brighteners can irritate the skin, and they're terrible for the environment. Remember, you are not separate from your environment. The health of your environment is the health of you, and vice versa. Remember that. Molly Suds doesn't use any of the nasty stuff. No SLS, no formaldehyde, none of those nasty chemicals, none of those fragrances, the nasty chemically based ones. Instead, they use earth and plant-derived ingredients that clean just as well, if not better. And get this. This is one of my favorite parts, and this is what makes me really happy. They're actually more cost-effective per load than a lot of those brands that are out there. But what really sealed the deal for me in working with them is their ethical stance. Molly Suds is cruelty-free, vegan, Leaping Bunny certified, and it's all made right here in the United States. So if you want to get your hands on Molly Suds, and I highly suggest you do, you can pick them up on your next Target run, or for an even better deal, head to my exclusive URL. I got y'all. To get 20% off of Molly Suds products, go to MOLLYSUDS.com/DRG and use the code DRG at checkout. That is mollysuds.com/DRG. The code is DRG for 20% off.
Yeah, so our ultradian rhythms, which is our rhythms throughout the day, have been proposed to be around 90 minutes. So the research is a bit loose on this, but basically around 45 minutes to an hour to 90 minutes. But I appreciate that that's hard. Whatever you can do, 20 minutes first, build it up to 30 minutes. I've got people anecdotally on my Instagram that are like, I've taken your advice. I don't look at my phone for the first hour, and it has been an absolute game changer.
It is a game changer.
Complete game changer.
This week, I did a little test on myself. I go, all right, let me take 10 minutes of waking up and go to my phone. And I wanted to test for the whole day. It's not the same. It's a different day.
Yeah.
It's a different day. And what I noticed was the next morning I woke up and my body was like wanting to reach for it. I was like, oh, come on. It's all right. Just go through your meditation.
Yeah.
And then this big wave of anxiety came and it's like, no, I saw my ego looking for every reason to get on the phone. It was like, oh, but you didn't tell the maintenance person that they have to come and maybe they have to come later. And like, just check, just see if they texted you back. I was like, I can't believe I'm literally talking
to myself,
trying to convince myself, don't reach for your phone and stay in your meditation.
Yeah.
We all struggle and it's okay. But like what happened was that anxiety passed.
Yes.
And here's what I noticed. This is interesting. Since that day, my waking life, like when I'm walking around doing work, I've been more resilient to things that are happening, right?
Yeah.
The stress resiliency is so much stronger.
Yeah.
And it was a special moment this week. I was like, interesting. If I had to sit with that pain.
Yeah, the discomfort
in order to have a new experience with it. So that's really powerful.
I love that.
I really believe that people hold in emotions in their nervous system. It puts a weight on their nervous system.
Yeah.
In your research, if someone has gone through trauma and hasn't really fully processed it, do their brains change? Is the nervous system in a different state? How are these people presenting? I know we were talking a little bit about posture and how we walk and and our expressions. What are you starting to see in the science now?
I'm not a trauma specialist, but I do agree with you that I don't know enough, I've got to say, about trauma. I know there's connectivity to memory centers. We can rewire those so that we have less of an emotional sort of friction to the memories that then arise. They lose their impact on what they have on us, or we change that narrative. So that's what I'll say about trauma. But the body posture stuff's really interesting. I want to tell you about research from Dr. Leah Crum. She's a Stanford neuroscientist. She took two groups and she asked one group to drink the super decadent milkshake. It had the sort of the placard, the information page had a picture of like this decadent kind of sundae with cream and a cherry on top. And it just looked super delicious. And the wording that they used was like decadent, indulgent, etc. Then the second group, they gave them a sensible shake. So it was very plain looking. It had like 0 calories, zero sugar, low calorie. It was kind of like, okay, so I'm eating this kind of like, healthy, low calorie shake. And what they did is they measured the ghrelin response in the body. So ghrelin is a hormone that tells you you're hungry. So if you've eaten a lot, I've just had lunch, I don't have a lot of ghrelin in my body right now. If before I'd eaten, there would have been a higher amount of ghrelin because I was very hungry. And what they saw is that the group that ate the super decadent milkshake had lower levels of ghrelin, right? That makes sense. And the low calorie shake, high levels of ghrelin. I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yep.
Both shakes had the same amount of calories and then they just didn't know.
They didn't know, but one looked decadent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But their belief around what they were eating changed their physiology.
Incredible. That's
wild, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that just blows my mind because our thoughts, what we think about ourselves, what we believe, also the emotions that we carry, all have a downstream cascade on our body. So if you wake up and you're checking your phone first thing, you're rushing, adrenaline and cortisol through the body. You said your body's tense first thing.
Yeah.
And it's like you're just priming everything to not go the way that you want it to. And you don't have that space, that openness to heal anything like trauma, for example.
Yeah, 100%. You're in a contracted state. That contracted state, you're back in a survival state.
Exactly. Exactly. You're in a survival state. So why would your brain want to make any changes again if you're trying to stay alive?
Yeah, there's no processing that's going to happen there.
Exactly.
So back to that shake, which is incredible because it really highlights the difference between like perspective and physiology.
Yeah.
And that you can literally, by changing your perspective and relationship, it can have an effect on your body differently.
Yes. So she did similar research where they looked at stress mindsets. And when they stressed people out who believed that stress was adaptative, good for you, part of life. And another group was shown a video of, basketball players losing their cool on the court and saying stress is really bad. The blood pressure and the cardiovascular output was better in the individuals that had a perceived idea that stress is functional, good for you, required in acute terms. So, our mindset has such a huge influence on how we then bounce back from things as well. Because they still got stress, they just were better at dealing with it.
Yeah, but it's your relationship to the story, right? What has been your story about stress or about food that you eat and relationships in your life, partnerships? All of those things are influencing your physiology.
Yeah.
It's really powerful. So then I think about, like, let's say I came to Madeira, where you are.
Yes. You're welcome to come.
Whenever I'm in Portugal, I got a friend out there. If I eat food there that I can't eat here, I promise you I probably feel better. Because when I went to Portugal, I was eating all the types of foods.
Yes.
Could it be that the physiology has changed in the sense of, you're like, I'm on vacation, I'm just going to have anything. I feel calm, I feel good.
Yeah.
And your body just reacts differently.
Yeah, you're in a relaxed mind state. What happens as well is people will eat and scroll on their phones, or they're texting or doing work.
Always.
The Portuguese and I'm Italian and my partner's Portuguese, they have their lunch. It's this is sacred time. Like, we sit down and we eat.
Yes. Present.
And then we go back to work. I mean, they take a 1.5 hour lunch break at work every day. The bank is closed. Everything is closed. We've gone home for lunch.
Amazing.
And what do? They cook, they sit down, they eat, they enjoy their meal, and then they go back to work.
Oh my God, this is a dream. I wish nothing was open for an hour.
Yeah.
And I wish people were with their families or with their loved ones.
Yeah.
Present, or with their coworkers or whatever it is, just present.
Yeah.
Not talking about just getting their physiology completely changed. And I bet you every single day that's cumulative to your life, to your lifespan, just being in that state.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I think people sit down and then they also worry about the food. They're doing something else. Then they beat themselves up because, I don't know, they ate what they shouldn't have. It's a whole thing. You're eating in a state of stress. The body's not going to process. Yeah.
So states of stress, I like thinking about that. A state of stress is, of course, the trauma that we spoke about. Yeah. And anyway, like, a state of stress could be like your phone, right? Like, in itself, it's not adding that energy that you said. Do you do much research around sleep?
Yeah, I've spoken about sleep in the book. Yes.
Okay. How big of a factor is that in our brain health?
Everything.
Everything.
It's everything.
So sleep, number one.
It's number one.
Oh my God, we should have started with this.
Yeah.
Then. I'm so happy. Yeah. Okay. So sleep, number one. Why?
Oh my gosh, so many things. Okay. So when we sleep, we've got different stages. So you've got sort of REM 1 or REM sleep. That's where you release testosterone. Now, we only release testosterone during REM sleep. When you look at individuals that sleep 6 hours out of 8, they're losing an entire REM cycle. That's a whole cycle where you're not releasing testosterone. Both men and women need testosterone, so it's not just for men. But what they've looked at in research in men was that this amounted to around 10 to 15% testosterone drop in daily rates just by sleeping or losing one cycle of sleep. Testosterone is really important for cognitive abilities, obviously muscle building, all that stuff, but also brain health. Like, I think, again, we've singled out sort of these chemicals and attached them to one thing. So people will think, testosterone for men makes them aggressive. No, it's a whole plethora of things that, are responsible for, all kinds of things in the body. Then we've got growth hormone. That's only released during deep sleep. So the most deep restorative stage of the sleep. That only happens once, maybe twice per night. And that is in the first sort of few hours of the night. So you've got REM, then down into sleep, and then back to REM, back down into deep sleep. So 2 cycles of deep sleep if you're a prolific, good sleeper. So it's not just about the length of sleep, it's about the quality of sleep as well. Now, a lot of people don't reach those deep sleep stages. Why? Because we're scrolling on our phones before bed. Your brainwaves are up here. Now you're saying, well, you actually need to go all the way down to a delta slow wave brainwave, but you don't have the time to do that, or you struggle to fall asleep. It's because you're sort of asking your brain and body to go from here to here in a shorter space of time.
And it needs time.
Yeah. We need to slow everything down. We need the body to process and have time to do what it needs to do, which is replenish, release all these. Growth hormone is not just responsible for cellular repair in muscles, but cellular repair in the brain, cellular repair in the body, all the way down to the mitochondria and how they function. The mitochondria is responsible for energy. I don't know if you did, yeah, of course, you're a doctor. So.
The mitochondria.
Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Yeah. But anyone that doesn't know, the mitochondria is responsible for creating energy. When you release neurotransmitters to communicate information, it requires energy. When you think about something, energy. When you want to move your hand like I'm doing right now, energy. It's all energy. And if the cellular function isn't working optimally because you're not sleeping correctly, you're going to have cellular dysfunction. And then everything is kind of like, downstream cascade from that point onwards. So we need testosterone, we need growth hormone. We also have something called the lymphatic system, and that is activated during deep sleep stages as well. And that basically means that the cerebral spinal fluid in the brain or in the brainstem releases and quote unquote washes the brain of any toxin buildup, beta amyloid buildup associated with Alzheimer's, tau buildup associated with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, etc. So all of these sort of byproducts that build up during the day, if you're not getting good quality sleep, are not getting removed from the system.
Makes sense. And when we don't get good quality sleep and we think that, I slept 7 hours, 8 hours, that doesn't mean that you got good quality sleep. Exactly. You might have been in bed for 7, 8 hours, but you're saying that we need to get those cycles of REM sleep, the deep sleep, and then going back at least 2 full cycles, you're saying, for the night?
Yes, ideally. I mean, some people get 1 and that's fine.
So
some people can get 3, even better.
and I've had so many people testify to this. They go, if I'm on my phone, even an hour, like 45 minutes before I go to sleep, completely disrupted sleep.
Yeah.
And I've seen, when I used to work with clients one-on-one, I say, okay, this is the number one thing, minimum an hour, do an hour and a half, airplane mode, red light.
100%.
And without fail, people's sleeps are always better. Yeah. And the ones who had the tracking on the ring or the bracelet, 100% better.
Yeah, and feel better. Then you don't need your phone to wake up.
And you don't need your phone to wake up.
Yeah.
So now you're getting deep sleep, you're waking up, you could do your hours worth of rituals.
Yeah.
And then you can open your phone.
Yes. So your eyes are the windows to your soul, as they say, but they are also the window to your physiology. So when we are outside in the daytime, we have these IGPCRs, which are sort of cells in the retina that detect light. And they communicate with the rest of the brain and body. It's daytime or it's nighttime. That's how Huberman talks about morning light and evening sunsets, which can help you govern that circadian rhythm. So you align your own circadian rhythm with the outside. We live in an artificial world where we have light, we have phones, we have technology. And so when you're lying in bed with this big screen in front of your face, illuminating into these cells in the brain, your brain, there's an area called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's supposed to tell the rest of the body to shut down. It's like, no, it's still daytime, guys. We don't need to be doing anything. Melatonin doesn't need to kick in because it's daytime. This guy needs to stay awake. And then you turn off your phone and you're like, well, why can't I sleep now?
Oh, yeah. So you're saying when the sun goes down, this is the time?
I appreciate that that's difficult. Huberman talks about the benefits of viewing evening sunlight to sort of set your circadian rhythm and communicate with shutting down. An hour, I think, is probably reasonable. I do try and do from 8 o'clock till I go to bed. I'm a 9:30 p.m., 10 p.m. kind of girl. So
early.
Yeah, early.
Okay.
I've been going to bed at 9, waking up at 5 here, which has been amazing.
Oh, that's great.
I know. So I'm going to continue to try and do that.
That's the goal right there. So, okay. So making sure that we are at least taking some time, after sunset to really start darkening everything.
And just winding down, turn off the artificial lights, put on side lamps. Some people have red light lamps. That's fine. That's perfect, actually. So just keep it dim, keep it all calm and quiet. And
so you're training your brain to release those factors to say, I'm safe, melatonin, ready to go to sleep. You're going to feel tired, and then getting that deep sleep.
Yes.
Because you said deep sleep is everything for our brain, for our habit, for our health, for everything.
Everything. Matthew Walker, he wrote about it. He says it's the number one optimization tool. It is. It's like,
oh my God,
it's a drug.
How many people, when they sleep well, they go, I feel like I could do 1,000 things and climb a mountain and work out and cook dinner when I come home.
I'm terrible without sleep. Like I'm a dragon.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm so bad.
I'm moody and quiet. Well, listen, I got earplugs, mouth tape, eye mask. Sometimes I have headphones. I definitely have the white noise on.
Okay, I've definitely got earplugs. I can't sleep without them.
It's a whole process. The air conditioner cold. It's a whole thing. If I'm like ever sleeping not at home, like I gotta have my, I don't know if that's
your systems
neurotic or if it actually, I know what helps.
It's association. Your brain is going to associate different things. So if you're on your phone late at night, your brain's associating that this is a place of fun. That's why I say the bedroom needs to be sacred. Like no phones, no tablets, no TV while you're lying in bed. Don't do work in your room. When I was at university way back when, I was kind of like in the studio pod that had a desk and in my bed.
Yeah.
And I could never sleep because I was studying and then going, okay, hey brain, let's go to bed now. Like, no, your brain's associated this room with productivity. How can we shut down in the same room?
So yeah, I want to go back to that. Setting up the room then, I mean, for people who can separate, it's better to not have your office in there. Mm-hmm. What if people do like their exercise in the morning in their room? That's no good? For the viewers out there, that was a face.
the thing is, the morning and the evening are so far removed that there might be enough of a break.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
So potentially, I don't know from the research, but I would imagine that it'd be fine.
But if during the day you're really like you're doing your work there, and then after that midday you're doing your workout there, it's a lot of associations.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
If you sleep fine and you actually sleep fine, then crack on.
I
watch TV in bed. I know I get people all the time like, I can watch TV in bed, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah, but that's cool. What I was going to say. I know you're not a sleep expert, but how many people are like, I know there's a handful, not a lot.
Yeah.
They could watch TV in bed. They could turn off their phone right before.
My partner does that. He's like.
And then off.
And he's actually asleep.
Like out. Bear level.
Yeah.
And then out. And then they wake up and they're just back to it. Are you a light sleeper?
Yes. Well, no, now that I've wear my earplugs. No.
Oh, they really help, huh?
Like my friend went to this resort in Arizona a couple of weeks ago or last weekend, and my electric toothbrush kept going off. It went off 4 times in the night.
Was there a dental ghost in there?
I think it got wet and I think water got in it, so it kept switching itself. Yeah, no. But the thing is, I was reading a horror before bed, so I was like, oh my god.
Oh, it sounds like a chainsaw just ready to rev up and come after you.
But I slept straight through the whole thing. She got poor sleep better, and I was like, I'm really sorry.
Oh my Lord! Yeah, I sleep poorly. I sleep like I wake up. So that's why I need all those associations, black light, and then I can get to sleep.
Yeah.
Hard for me to sleep with someone else in the room.
Yeah, right.
I've done the 2 separate beds.
Yeah, no, George sleeps in a separate room sometimes. I'm like, see ya.
And that's okay. So you're a fan of that?
Yeah, whatever works. I mean, sometimes I'm like, sleep with me.
Yeah, for sure. But you want to like, get your brain functioning during the week. Okay.
But I can actually sleep fine with him in the room. But if people do that, I think that, whatever works.
Oh, posture. We were going to go into that.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's
so
go back to it.
Let's go into that stuff.
Finish this and then we can come back to it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I was like, I'm so intrigued by sort of that expression in the nervous system.
Yeah, right.
So, is there research around the way that people like their literal posture?
Yeah. So they've done studies on like the superhuman pose, where you like stand with your hips on your hands on your hips, sort of big chested, and that improves your confidence because your thoughts can impact your body language, which impact your emotions, your thoughts, emotions, actions, thoughts, emotions, actions, thoughts. They're all sort of part of that cognitive triangle. So if you're someone that's maybe shy and you walk into a coffee shop and you've got your body language is all kind of closed, maybe the barista's like, okay, well, this person's awkward, so I'm not going to really speak to them. Then they think, oh, well, I'm weird and I'm awkward. They've just confirmed that for me because they don't want to talk to me. It's a whole thing, right? So I have clients that struggle with this. And I always say, like, practice standing outside the coffee shop and just walking in or walking into the office just with your body like up high, because that will have a huge impact on then how you feel about yourself. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. It's all.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy because all it is taking a moment and being like, well, how am I presenting to the world?
Yeah.
Are you actually proud to be in your body?
Yeah.
And that can change your whole experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said it yourself, like it's an energy output. Like we're predisposed to like watch people and be like, oh, I don't know if this person is safe to talk to.
Yeah.
or this person is inviting to talk to, and I want to come towards them. It's that revalidation of your experience based on your inner world. And introspection, you said.
Yeah. And there's so much nuance in human communication that we can't really, pinpoint at any given point. But, as an example, I've spoken about in the book, there's a tribe in Venezuela called the Yaquena tribe. Yaquena tribe. And the first 18 months, the mothers don't put down the babies. They hold them all of the time. So they get up in the night. If they have to go to the bathroom, they pick up the baby, they take them with them. What they learn is everything they need to know about the world. Okay, and obviously not everything, I'm exaggerating. When they reach for the stove, they pull the baby away. Okay, body language, that thing is not to go near. Okay, so everything that they do, they're transmitting through that body language.
Oh, I see.
In Holland, everyone's on bicycles and there's never an accident. I don't know how or why.
I've seen that.
And it's crazy. Like people will just go and you're like, whoa.
Control chaos.
And and you take a couple of, why? If we had to do that in cars, we would crash because you can't see people's faces. But I can see if you're going to turn. I can see your body language saying, I'm going to go or you go.
I see.
And it's so deeply ingrained that it's so nuanced that you're not actively thinking about it consciously.
I see.
But you kind of know. I can see this guy's body language says he's going to turn. I can tell he's indicating or whatever.
Yeah, we are so deeply predisposed to read people.
Yeah.
And we lost that gift. But I think that everyone's super intuitive.
Yes.
And it makes sense. The Holland one really stuck out to me because when I was walking around, I was like, this is crazy. There's like 1,000 bikes that are passing me and no one got into an accident.
No, I know.
But being able to, I believe in the fascia, right? In the body.
Yeah. Same.
And the fascia can predict environmental changes before we even cognitively know what's going on. It works electromagnetically.
Okay.
The brain's electric, but this is like quantum type level stuff.
Okay.
And
hit me, teach me something.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, okay, if I'm riding a bike, I wonder if energetically, and just the small, minute body change already, I'm already downloading. I know what this means.
Yes.
I know what the world means before that happens.
So.
Yeah, because cars can't do that because we're so disconnected from all of this.
You can't see someone's body. You can't see the faces really even. I mean, you kind of can, but not really. You're watching for the indicators.
Yeah. So in the emotional work, this is how I look at people. I look at like how they standing, how they walking, how they smiling, how they're not smiling, what are their eyes saying.
Yes.
And the more you tune into it, we all have that ability.
Yes.
And I think it's a safety thing. It's a survival thing, right? You're in a tribe. Is this person in the tribe safe? Is this person in this other tribe safe? We want to know if we have an alert system. Yeah. That's so fascinating though, the posture thing. How about we should be doing our affirmations then in Superman pose? Yeah,
probably like standing. And I had a client where I was like, stand like that. And he was like, okay. And I was like, and he was like,
how does it feel?
You could see he was like really struggling. He was like, he didn't want to let go. I was like, you can do it. He's like, I can do it. And I was like, you can do it. And he's like, I can do it. By the end of it,
It's the stories, right?
Right.
Like, if I remember in middle school, there'd be some of the kids that were really hunched over, that didn't want to be seen, that were making themselves really small.
My sister was like that because she was overweight. So she wanted to make herself smaller. She wanted people to see her.
Right. Right. So, and it's about, we can actually move with our nervous system.
Yeah, take
just
up
by
space.
Posture. Taking up space.
Take up space. You're fine.
Listen, viewers and listeners, I got a challenge today. If you take up space, right? I want you to stand different and definitely walk with a little more authority, right? Make yourself a little bit bigger. Notice how your mental health feels at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're going to feel more empowered.
Yeah. Let me know, because I'm really interested.
It's going to be a game changer.
I completely agree. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I actually want to add to that sort of body language communication thing. What are we doing through a phone?
Oh, we're in a posture that is.
Yeah, not even that. Well, I can't see your body language.
Oh,
so now I can say whatever I want to you, and there's no consequence. I can call you a bitch to the phone, and there's no one's going to slap me through the face.
Right.
So we can say what we want without consequence. There's no eye contact. There's no body language. There's some tone, of course. You can get tone from messages, and the rest of it is language. So we're losing that ability to hold conversation and look at each other in the eye. And then let's add another layer to that. Conflict resolution, something that should be minor. I relish in conflict in a good way, because I'm like, let's find a solution, because I want to challenge myself to be able to have these uncomfortable conversations without it being, without it escalating, without exploding, without getting emotional. And people are losing that ability.
I see. Yeah. We look at the comments on anything that is semi-controversial. I've been at this thing for a long time. I've seen a lot of comments and a lot of things, and it's like, it's incredible how we lose the integrity of ourselves in many times, and humanity, right? Like, because you wouldn't talk to someone like that face to face.
No.
There'd maybe be a little more respect, or at least like fear of like repercussions. But that's, you're saying that changing our brain.
Yes.
Over time.
Yes. There's a woman called Susan Greenfield. You'll never find her on social media, unfortunately, but she's an Oxford neuroscientist from the UK. And she studies this very phenomenon. And she's looking at how younger generations are struggling to hold interviews because they can't look at their interviewee in the eye properly. They are struggling with conflict resolution because everything escalates to the degree where they can't, contain their own emotions.
Whoa.
And it goes from 0 to 100 because we are not being programmed to, even just hold, touch. Like, I try and touch people. I'm like, hey, like put my hand on the shoulder, like, what's up? Like, we hugged. Like,
right.
We're not doing that as much anymore. So, especially after the pandemic. So I'm like, let's hug. Let's hug.
We need more of that.
Yeah.
We need more of that. What about people viewing and listening? They go, I got kids. And, my best friend has an iPad for their kids, and my other best friend, they got a phone at the age of 3, 4.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we need to be looking at as future parents? About relationship? I mean, this is a new world we're living in. That's not the one we grew up in as kids. How do we approach this with children?
Yeah, I mean, there was a scary video that someone put up. I can't remember. It was a scientist of these children who would be lying in bed sleeping and doing this, like while streaming, just swiping.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of scary because what does your brain do?
I know the video.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe Peter Attia or
someone
like
in that realm posted, and I was like, oh my God, like that's kind of terrifying. But I'm not a parent, and I have a pretty good life. I live in the mountains of Madeira with my 2 dogs and my fiance, and we want to have kids, and we'll start trying soon. But I appreciate that it's not as simple. Like, you've got to entertain them, you've got to give them things to do, and it's sometimes easier to give them the iPad. I've got compassion for that, but if you can, I would say just don't for as long as possible.
Hold it off as long as possible. Will it change their brains early on? Is that a permanent brain change?
Yes, and also, again, we spoke about preferring or prioritizing that immediate reward. If you're doing that from a young age, you're priming the brain to want those quick fixes and not work for the long term. My sister has a child, my niece, and they only make her watch particular cartoons because some of them have got too much color, too much dopamine, just too much going on. And she's really irritable at the end of the day if she's watched those ones versus something like Pumpkin Patch or whatever those, like Peter Rabbit, that are kind of like more dull looking with the colors and slower sort of build up stories.
Like Winnie the Pooh we were watching. I just saw an Instagram on this. There was one of the really popular shows for kids. He's like, I'm going to show you 90 seconds of this clip. Notice how much stimulation there is. He went over the colors, and every 1 second something was happening. Someone was saying something. There was a fish jumping out of the pond. Something fell into the water. And it was like, whoa, boop, 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 boop. I remember watching Winnie the Pooh. There was dull colors. Eeyore was gray. And then like everything took time, everything took time. There's stories building up. And I wonder how much that's affecting our dopamine as kids.
And our ability to hold sort of attention, and I'm not making any inference to ADHD because I'm not a specialist, and I'm not sure. Genetically there are.
But it might play a role.
Maybe,
exactly. And maybe people who just have that short attention span are being misdiagnosed.
And that's the other thing. So someone who maybe has a predisposition or has ADHD, and then you expose them this early on to something like that, you're setting them up for failure, Makes
sense.
So.
Okay, so we talked about phone. We talked about really setting forth your habits. We talked really good stuff on dopamine, which was really incredible, learning about the relationships. And then we got into the sleep. And we just talked about everything we just talked about with kids and everything. Is there anything that we're really missing that's important for you or was featured in the book that you sort of want to reflect to the audience that, hey, like, here's some important stuff?
I think the message that I really want to convey to people is that if you're in this position and you're listening to this and you think, well, this is all a lot. I can't do that. I can't stop giving my kids iPad. We're not fixed. It's not a stagnant position. We are evolved to change all the time. Our brain is designed to change, and we can. So it might feel overwhelming right now, but just because you're somebody that doesn't wake up at 6 a.m. and goes to the gym, again, I'm not saying that that's the be and end all and that's the mecca of living your life. But if that's what you want to do, but you're seeing that as somebody who has never done that, we can change. We're always evolving to be something better, different.
Yeah, that's the beautiful part.
Yeah.
Of being a human, we can change. Okay. What's the name of the book right there?
Rewire.
Rewire. Is it out?
It's out. Came out on the 4th of June in the US. It's out it's out everywhere, worldwide.
Okay, listen, and anyone who is addicted to their phone or really just trying to work to getting better habits in their lives, this is a book for you. Just read through it. You got
the whole book.
The whole book is dedicated to this. Yeah. So if you've ever been lost, here's a resources for you.
And the great thing about Rewire is that you can apply to everything and anything. You know, I've said in the book, like by proxy, this knowledge is now within you and you can apply to anything you need in life.
Exactly.
Whether it be a phone addiction, whether it be thoughts, negative thoughts, whether it be, you know, anything that's holding you back, you can now, you know, and it's been designed so that you can dip in and out of any chapter that's relevant to you at the time.
That's good. More like a guide.
Yeah.
I love that. And where do we find you?
On Instagram, Nicole's Neuroscience. I don't have anything else but that.
Okay, beautiful.
I tried TikTok.
Get on IG. No.
Yeah.
You see, you don't want to be on your phone. You're following what you preach. You know, You don't want to be on your phone the whole time. Amazing.
Exactly.
You try TikTok. Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Such fascinating combo. Like such important work. This is basic human interactions of life.
Yes.
That we need to really pay attention to, and we have the ability, we get to with your information to optimize all of it every single day. So I'm glad I caught you on your United States trip. Maybe the next one I'm out there in Portugal, we got the mics and we got the dogs in the background and the mountains and everything.
Yes.
I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.